Hello, hello, hello. This is something different. I'm sorry. What we're going to do is we're going to actually look at Yes's Heart of the Sunrise, because I don't know where I got them from, but I found some stems. For those of you who don't know what stems are, they are the building blocks of a recording, the master tracks. So it's the separate audio tracks, so like the drums, the bass, the guitar, the keyboards, the vocals, whatever. And I've loaded them into Logic, and we're going to have a little listen and talk through said song. Again, I don't know if these are the legitimate 8-track originals. I don't know where these are sourced from, but it will be an interesting little video to look at. Of course, this video will be copyright claimed. God, it will be copyright claimed. So this is where I say, if you want to support this channel, do join the Darren Lock YouTube club, which is for £1. It just helps pay the bills. Or there's Patreon, patreon.com/lock. These links are somewhere, I think. Or you can send me money if you want. Or check out music.darrenlock.com and buy some music there. Because, like I say, it puts money in the electricity meter for we're heading towards October 2022, and the electricity bills are going to go crazy. But yeah, so that's the idea, and I'm doing this all live. I don't know if I'm going to edit it. I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to have a little fun. The audio might sound a little bit weird because I've got it running through Logic Pro at the moment, so bear with me. So yeah, what we're going to do, like I say, this is Heart of the Sunrise from Fragile. Again, Fragile released 12th of November 1971, recorded between 11th of August and 5th of September 71. Heart of the Sunrise is probably one of my favourite tracks by Yes, written by John Henson, Chris Squire, Bill Bruford. And when you listen to the tracks, I think you're going to see why that is. But anyway, enough jibber jabbering. The kids want the good stuff. So here we are. Let me just load it up. I will be putting on the headphones of shame so I can hear what I'm doing, because I can't have the audio because it feedback. So that's why I'm putting headphones on. Okay. So here are the tracks. Oh God, can you hear my own voice? That's the worst thing. We have the project loaded into Logic here, as you can see. What's interesting is we have the drums to. Oops, okay, how can I keep that on? We have the. If I click down, so that's it. Got it now. I don't know what I'm doing. The drums are divided into snare, kick and cymbals, so they sound like this. But you can hear a little bit of the bass leaking in. So from this we can deduce that Bruford and Squire put this down at the same time. I'm deducing that because there's leakage from the bass being picked up by the drum mics. That's what I can assume. That's me putting my producer hat on. But let's listen. You can listen to the snare just on its own, but you can hear Chris Squire burbling around in the background. So you can see why they are co-writers on this. Let's bring that kick in. It's hardly anything there, isn't it? It's weird, isn't it? And then the cymbals, which are quite. And again, you can hear. Actually, you can hear a little bit of snare in that mix. So, where have these tracks come from? I do not know. I got them off of a dodgy website, perhaps many years ago. I just found them on my hard drive and thought it'd be interesting to do a little video. So we've heard that. So let's have a listen to the bass. So the bass on its own, you can really hear Chris Squire digging in. Again, that's it's really great to hear that isolated, isn't Let's just listen to that. He's really digging in with that pick. Again, the way he uses the pick on the bass, he's got all that treble. And this is why Bruford uses that rim, almost rim shot snare sound, because he's fighting against that really trebly bass. Let's put it in with the kick drum. That's the track, isn't it? But of course, there's more to it than that. There's also keyboards, isn't there? So you can hear what Rick Wakeman's doing there. Now there's actually two keyboard sounds going on there. Now again, I think if these are the original 8-track masters, there's two keyboards on one stereo track, and they've been bounced down, and they've got a mellotron. Something's got a bit of a wah-wah sound on that. It's fascinating if you can just hear that sound, isn't it? Isn't that fascinating? Who'd have thought that was buried? And then you can hear the drums leaking into it. And this all complements each other, but of course, if you're gonna have keyboards, you've got to have guitar. And it's two guitar. Playing off each other. I think it's two. Sounds like two, yeah. There's two overdubbed guitars there. Again, they've bounced them down onto one stereo track. Fascinating. And then again, it's one. We'll drop in the vocals. And this is what they did with just 8 tracks. It's amazing, isn't it? This amount of depth.
How can the wind with its arms all around me? Lost on a wave, and then after.
So then you hear the different parts that are recorded. These are many different guitar parts all introduced, because he used the picked guitar, then you got a little bit of wah guitar, and it's all on the one stereo track, and it's all panned. You don't have to worry about panning or anything. It's all done. Very interesting, very, very interesting, rather than them having to mix it on the fly. It's already been kind of pre-mixed. So let's hear that with some bass.
Lost in their eyes as you hurry by.
Again, I've not done any panning on these tracks. These are all set to midday, to 12 o'clock. So the panning's already been done in pre-production. But then you've also got a little bit on this extra track, which is called backing for some reason. That is keyboards, a little bit of piano there, and you get this further on. You hear wow, it's just there, buried in the mix. See? And at the end of the track, you can hear Rick Wakeman just hamming it up on the piano. Who'd have thought it? But and it's just buried there. Split across 2 stereo tracks. Fascinating stuff. So it's really interesting hearing this stuff in isolation. You get an idea how they constructed the whole thing. So what we'll do is we'll build up on that last section. Well, let's go back a bit, and we'll build it up one bit at a time. Okay? Should we go back to the middle and build it up and see how it all fits together? So let's bring in the snare first. And the bass. And the keys. There's no guitars at the moment. And the guitars come in. That's how it was set. So it's all built up there. And if we just isolate the keys. You can hear the double track guitars there. Fantastic. An interesting piece of production, that. So if we just pull in the vocals, let's go back to the... You can hear the purity of the vocals here. A little bit of reverb. Again, double track vocals. Harmonies. Put on one stereo track. Dreamer, easy in the chair that really fits you. Isn't that amazing how they put this all together? And again, what this is an example of is the band, and again, Eddie Offord, the producer, using the technology of the time. They would have had eight track studio going on, right? And on that 8-track, they would have had to bounce stuff down, and well, it would have been actually correction. This would have been 16-track because I've forgotten. These are stereo tracks. I've just got 8 stereo tracks. 8 stereo tracks, that equals 16. They would have probably, I don't know, maybe daisy chained 2 8 tracks together. I don't know what Advision studios were using. I'm not that kind of a fan, but this is a band, and this is what's interesting about progressive music, is they were kind of pushing the technology. And this time, this was before 32-track. We moved up from 4-track, which you heard the Beatles using on Sgt. Pepper, to 8-track, you know, which would have been the turn of the late 60s, early 70s, and then moving towards 16-track recording. And that's what you're hearing here, and how they got maximum result by very carefully bouncing down takes, the guitars onto a stereo track, keyboards onto a stereo track, and also the vocals, including the harmonies, all onto a stereo vocal track. Amazing. Now nowadays, if this was on a, well, again, we don't have a limit. Each vocal element would have its own track, so each harmony vocal would have its own track. The guitars would have their own track, so you could pan them and EQ them. You know, drums, even the cymbals would all have like their own array of microphones and tracks, so you could infinitely tweak and adjust the sound. But here, there's a great economy in the sound mix, which I find absolutely amazing. I just find it fascinating. to hear. Let's hear a bit more. Let's take the drums out. Again, the rhythm is the bass and the drums that are propelling the track along, and this is why it's a Squire Buford collab, because it's come from the drums and the bass, with Wakeman and Howe, filling in. You can get that lovely piano run and bits just there in the background. It's an amazing bit of production. It truly is. See, things fade, elements fade in and fade out, and it's all done. Let's knock out the vocals and we can hear this instrumental piece. Yeah, that note. And then you have the resolution. You have the tension, and then the resolution, and then we have at the end, get everything back in again. Oh, fantastic. So yeah, that gives you an idea of how that track was put together. Again, I'm not really sure where these stems came from. It could be that these have been bounced down from a different source, but I'm just using them in this context. So don't hit me with, oh, but Darren, this is just a bit of fun. This is just a bit of fun because I've given up worrying about copyright claims. Anything for the views. But no, again, really this is for the people that are interested in music production more than anything else, because it shows that even with a limited amount of audio tracks, you can create something quite complex, but you do have to have a very good producer, an engineer, working. Again, we don't have to worry about this now, but sometimes it's really good. Again, I should really be putting this on my other channel. Sometimes it's really good to limit yourself when it comes to recording. You can sometimes find yourself throwing everything in. Extra elements, extra bits of keyboard, extra bit of percussion. Everything's got a track, because you can throw the whole kitchen sink at your production, and it's like you just kind of building track upon track. And sometimes it's really good to say, well, I'm only going to use so many tracks on this. It helps you kind of focus your mind and not get carried away. And again, the thing about art, whether it's music or painting or photography or whatever, you've got to learn when to let go. Because sometimes you can add until it becomes an unruly mess. And this shows the great economy of those early 70s albums. It's even more amazing when you see what the Beatles were doing, and they only used 4 tracks. Here you see a really good indicator of what Yes and Eddie Offord were doing back in, like I say, 1971. It's truly astounding. But you can also, again, when you listen to everything broken apart, you can hear where the song came from. You can hear that it is drum and bass led. That rhythm. You can know that was put down first, and the work of Wakeman and Howe are there to complement, and they've got to find melody parts that fit in, that are rhythmic and melodic at the same time. And that's the great genius of this. That's where it is progressive, because you'll have great washes of synth from Wakeman, but then he'll do this really kind of almost classical piano runs, which you don't necessarily notice because they're in the mix. But when you take them out, when you lift them out of the mix, you go, wow. And that is the progressive nature of this kind of music. Yeah? You know, you have the bass being played as a lead instrument. You have the drums, you know, you can hear the jazz in Bruford's playing, because again, when you hear it stripped away. And then, like I say, Howe and Wakeman have got to kind of negotiate a way through this very rhythmic piece to create something melodic. And then it's just John Anderson doing John Anderson, you know. His vocals just sit on top of it. Again, because of the frequency range you've got there, you need a vocal. No other vocalist would sit in that range. It's an amazing balancing act. And you've heard it here. Hopefully this video has been interesting, entertaining, a little bit educational maybe, but this is what turns me on about music production. This is what I get from it, you know, as a rank amateur. I find this stuff very, very interesting, and it's a shame that, you know, we have all these surround sound mixes. In the old days, this is where I'm going to go off on a tangent, so bear with me. In the old days, when DVD was first muted, some bands, The Who, that other band, you were able to mute certain sections of again, Genesis did it with The Way We Walk live DVD, the original pressing of that, and you could actually isolate the bass or the drums. Now they go on about surround sound and Dolby Atmos, but wouldn't it be good if you could actually isolate the tracks? And you can do that with DVD and Blu-ray, yeah, because it's all Blu-ray now. You can actually do that with that technology. You can't do it with streaming, but you can do it with optical media, and that would be really cool, wouldn't it? And you could hear those elements and how they fit together. I think it'd be a great educational tool, but you don't get that. You don't get that imagination in music now. It's all, you know, reissues and remixes and whatnot. But yeah, we had the Animals remix, but imagine if on the DVD Blu-ray you could remix your own version. You know, that's what I thought we were. That's probably where these stems came from. Anyway, I've gone on enough, and I'm sorry if I burbled. Remember, I won't be making any money from this video, so that's where I need you guys to throw some coppers into the hat. And I'm sorry, I'm sorry I ask, but or you could share it. And you could post this places to say, look, Darren's actually done a video that's good. He's done a video that's not him wobbling his chops at the camera. He's actually done a good video. And do that for me. And maybe this was all a cynical ploy to get subscribers. I don't know. No, it wasn't. I was doing some hard drive maintenance and looking around, and I found these stems in a folder, and I thought, hey, I was going to do this a few years ago, and Rick Beato beat me to it, I think. And so I put it off. And today, because I've got nothing else going for me, I thought, you know, I'd do this. Anyway, thank you for watching. My name is Darren Locke. This is me breaking down Yes's Heart of the Sunrise from their 1971 album, Fragile. And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed it. Prog on.